Dear D&D Beyond, as one of your biggest fans, I must admit it's come to a point where I cannot use the website anymore. I want to. I really, really want to. I'm not one of those 5e haters. I love 5th edition. I love the new rules, the 2024 rules. I love D&D Beyond. I've been using D&D Beyond since it first launched back in 2017. Me and my player group, we were all early adopters. We made our characters on there immediately. We loved it. We were there before it was bought by Fandom, or before Fandom was bought by Wizards of the Coast. We witnessed the rise of the great Todd Kendrick. We remember seeing a huge boost in quality on the website when Critical Role Campaign 2 was advertising it. I even bought that huge $250 bundle with all the books in it, even though I owned them all physically on my shelf. I pre-ordered everything sold on the website. Everything. Almost regardless of whether or not I'd use it. And now it's come to a point where I don't think I can use the website anymore. Welcome to Mystic Arts, where old man yells at website merges with autistic man yells at change, and we become one singular bitter entity. My name is Daði, I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for 10 years. Let's open D&D Beyond. Now the landing page has a bunch of articles on it, and it's got this blue pop-up header that shows up every time, advertising some product regardless of whether or not you own it. In this case, it's a free product that I don't own, so I'm going to go claim it. If you're following along with the Outrage Mill, you will hear all kinds of stuff about how 5th edition doesn't do anything for third-party creators or give away anything for free, and it's a constant money grab situation. And listen, it's a corporation. There definitely are elements of that, loads of them, don't get me wrong, but there's also plenty of cool stuff they do for the community. This, for instance, is a free adventure. It comes with pre-made characters, and these are all the characters from the D&D cartoon, because they're trying to build up their brand and that kind of thing, and you know what? Neat. No notes. But here's the weird thing. I've already claimed the adventure. Why is the pop-up still here? Now, D&D Beyond lets you do all kinds of things. It lets you make characters. Most importantly, I think that's the feature new players want the most, but it also lets you build encounters. And the main thing I use it for is when I'm at the table and somebody asks for something or asks me to explain a rule, and I don't know the answer, so I go to the search bar and I search for it. Let's say one of my players says I cast Firebolt. I go, all right, Firebolt. Finds it. Instant. Great. But let's say I don't remember whether or not it's one word or two words. So I do this, and now it finds nothing. I think in general, the search feature on D&D Beyond is kind of the worst. It's really rough, and a lot of the times it's surprisingly rough. Let's say, for instance, I'm in the middle of starting a random encounter, and I rolled some dice, and now I gotta run some goblins. All right, type in goblin, and what we immediately get is the 2014 basic rules version of the goblin. Below that, I get the Goblin Commoner from Tales from the Yawning Portal, and below that I get the Goblin Boss from the new Monster Manual, and entry number, I don't know what, is the new standard Goblin Warrior. That's not great. Let's say you search for Orc. There's a lot of hubbub online right now about how the Orcs have been cut from the new Monster Manual, but if you go on D&D Beyond, they are the first result you get. The 2014 Orc. Then you get Orc Stone, a magic item from Icewind Dale, then several legacy monsters that have been cut. Only now, here at this point, do you get the 2024 playable Orc species. I don't know what the solution here is, but I feel like they should be able to tag the core rules for the new book and make sure those results show up first. Now, if I'm talking about running encounters, I'm talking about building encounters, I'm not doing it via the search feature, I'm doing it via the encounter builder. Now, the encounter builder they have is really good. It is. I have run so many campaigns through that encounter builder, but I want to point out they say it's in beta. It's been in beta for 6 years. If the encounter builder were a child, it would be in elementary school by now. All right, so I've opened the encounter builder and I'm going to make an encounter. And I love this tool because I get to put in my party. Let's say I put in this party from Nathaniel's 9, an adventure a friend of mine ran for me. You can see here we've got 8 characters. Granted, that's because we used this encounter builder to build a couple of extra characters. I'll just hide them. Fantastic functionality. And now it tells me the average party level, and it tells me how much I get to spend on the encounter budget. So I don't have to figure that out. And I can then go and I can type in Goblin. So I type in Goblin, and first off, we get the legacy version of the Goblin right here at the top instead of the current version of the basic Goblin. We also get the Goblin from Flea Mortals. If you don't own Flea Mortals, this is kind of in the way, but it is here. I do own Flea Mortals on D&D Beyond. I think I bought it there. Yeah, so I get that in. I could chuck that in along with any of the other goblins, and it just does the encounter math for me. That's great. Excellent product there. But I also get this Goblin Archer from the Lord of the Rings role-playing game. I don't own the Lord of the Rings role-playing game, so this is just basically an ad in the middle of my encounter designer. I do own the book in print. I bought it from my friendly local game store, and it's pretty cool, but I don't own it on D&D Beyond, so it's just sort of in the way. I can still add it to the encounter, which I guess is neat if you own it in print, but I can't look at the stat block. Well, let's say you want to get rid of these legacy tags over here. You could set a filter for it, but it's not one of the immediately accessible filters. You have to go to advanced filters, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there you can say no legacy, and scroll back up to see that the goblin's gone, but the goblin boss is still there for some reason. What's that about? So if you're building encounters, at this point, I don't even recommend D&D Beyond. I recommend the old reliable Kobold Fight Club, which has gotten a lot better in the last few years. It's kind of awesome. What you can do here is you can set, I've got 5 level 5 players, and I really want to do a medium encounter with a horde generate, and it creates a horde of bad guys for me, just out of thin air. You can also search for any stat block. Now, you can't look at the stat blocks because they don't sell you stat blocks. They're not allowed to. But it tells you where you can find them. Abominable Yeti, Monster Manual, page 306. These are presumably with the old 5th edition Monster Manual, because the new one isn't in the SRD yet, so they're kind of hamstrung in that way that they can't directly reference the new material, but I assume eventually they will. If you've been paying attention this whole time, you would also notice that the encounter builder here in beta calculates difficulty using the 2014 rules. For 2024 calculations, create encounters in maps. So I can't even use the new monster rules. I have to go to a different software for it. So as far as I can tell, this thing is never going to leave beta, because by the time the 2024 rules are out, it's still in beta and it doesn't work for it. Maybe they're going to update it at some point, but right now, who knows? Create encounters in maps, and I open up a new site, and I have to pick a game. I can't go like I do in the encounter builder and say, actually, I just want to add one 18th level character, one 3rd level character. I have to actually pick which game I'm running, and only the games I'm DMing for are available here, not Nathaniel's 9, the adventure I was showing you earlier. So let's say I pick Strixhaven, and I click go. And here I can go and load up any map and load up adventures and dungeons that are in there. That's really cool. But let's say I'm making a homebrew adventure and I have a basic map I want to use. Let's use the boat. So I load up the boat, and then I spend some time looking around because I'm not certain how to build an encounter. Token browser? Okay. These are not in my content library. I don't know what that means. Well, I own it. It's on here. I own all this, but I can't put them into maps for some reason. I can add these goblin warriors, but now I have to place them on a grid. Why can't I just do encounter math? Why do I need to do all this? Add all tokens. How difficult is the encounter? High. Okay. Do I then remove this? Does that auto-update? Wait, is one goblin high difficulty? Why is this so complicated? So at this rate, if I wanted a digital tool to calculate how to do encounter math, use Kobold Fight Club. It's easy, it's lightweight, it doesn't require any of this faffing around, and I can just sort of chuck things together. Now, this means you need a book to browse through to find the stat blocks. You need a book to, get inspired. It's more difficult to sort of just have an idea. If you're working off of a list, I think it's much better to flip through pages, but you can go in here and type goblin. And it'll show you there's a goblin boss, and you can add them to the encounter. I can remove these dust methods and whatever, and add a goblin boss. There we go. And it'll tell me how tough the encounter is, and adjust the XP and all that. It'll do it pretty decently, but again, it's the old encounter math because the new stuff isn't in the SRD yet. So let's homebrew a monster. I do a bunch of homebrew on D&D Beyond. I used to run my games exclusively on there, so all this entire grievance I'm talking about here comes from a place of love. I used to use this app all the time. I struggle with it these days. The Homebrew Creations tab, when it first started, I was thankful it was there, but it was never really rock solid. Let's make a modified goblin. Create monster, goblin warrior, create. And okay, let's say I want to give him a spear instead of a scimitar. I now have to parse this dice notation that's in here. Dice note +4, rollable 2 dice. What I do at this point is I remove all this, and I sort of have to retype up the entire stat block because I don't want these dice notations in here because they're really clunky. There is a software called Beyond 20 that hooks D&D Beyond into Roll20, and they don't need any of this to roll dice. They just read the stat block, and when they see a dice notation, anything that is number, they offer you to roll it. Beyond 20 doesn't need to be specifically told that something is a dice notation in every stat block. They just read the dice notations. So I know that's possible, but it's not on here. It's not available for some reason. If I want to add a bonus action, I got to check it into here. If I want to add a reaction, got to do it here. This has been highlighted as an action and all these things. There is a lot of formatting you can work with if you want to do this. You don't have to. You can remove all these references, but then you're sort of losing out on a lot of the utility D&D Beyond does. Wouldn't it be better if D&D Beyond just ran a program that detected these kinds of words and then hyperlinked to them? Why does it need to be specifically called out by hyperlink and everything? I don't understand. Let's say, for instance, I want to go ahead and I want to make sure that my goblin has more to hit. This is a stronger, beefier goblin. Take out all these dice notations because they're in my way. And I say, okay, my goblin, I want to have a +6 to hit. So I need to go down here. I want to make sure, oh, he's using his dex. Okay, so I guess I can make him have 19 dex if I want to bump it by 2. And then I go up here again, it says 4. I have to go, okay, that's 6 now. And this is now 4. Actually, I want to bump this to 2d6. Oh, hang on. What's the average of that? 3.5. That's 7 plus 4. That's 11 damage. And I have to do a bunch of math. And if this is all you've known, this is reasonable. But I remember when I was first getting into 5th edition, there was already a digital tool that did all this really well. It's called CritterDB. And here you can literally just make up a stat block and it does all the math for you. Goblin, small, 19, proficiency bonus, +2. And now I can go delete this short sword attack, generate attack. It's still a scimitar, and it knows that a scimitar is finesse and does 1d6, but I'm going to say this one does 2d6, and there's bonus damage if you have advantage on the new goblin, so it's 1d4 extra damage. Generate attack, and bam, it's done it for me. If I go back here and I now change the dex to be 21, this doesn't update, but if you generate another attack and you do the same parameters, it does indeed generate it correctly on the second time round. Bam. And if you want to add an ability here, any ability that's in the SRD is on CritterDB. So if I go add an ability, legendary resistance, add, bam, there it goes. If the goblin fails a saving throw, I can choose to succeed instead. And now it's just on the stat block. Legendary actions, attack. Look at how easy this is. You just sort of up on the AC. Same with the hit dice. It does all the hit dice math automatically, so I can say, actually, I know it's small, but, so that's a d6. It's put a d6 in here because it's small. So I'm not gonna mess with that. I'm gonna go, okay, number of hit dice. I want it to have 50 hit points. There we go. 49, 52. Let's do 49 and give him a bonus to con. And then, yeah, 54 hit points. Does all that automatically. You don't need to worry about it. It's kind of amazing. And then you get back to this thing, and it's sort of frustrating because I know it's possible to do better, and I know smaller creators than WotC can do better. WotC bought D&D Beyond from a bunch of small creators who started this up and have sort of been clobbering things together and making it work. But at this rate, the website is archaic. And they're going through this huge update for the 2024 rules, and I like almost all the new rules. I'm a big fan of the new edition, but it's kind of shocking to me that this feels like it's been left behind somewhat. And we know smaller creators can do incredible things with this kind of stuff. Kobold Fight Club is spectacular. CritterDB is amazing. And there's a D&D tuber you should know called Trekyros who's doing a Flare Fall February right now, where he's announcing his new game in beta testing, and he's basically made his own version of D&D Beyond. He invited me to play in his game, so we made a character together, and it's online right now. You can go watch it on his channel. And this is my character, Raoul, and all of the stat blocks here are hyperlinked. Everything I hover over explains how it works. I can click these buttons, and it spends the action points I need to use something. 5. Bam. Does all the math for me, and it's kind of brilliant. So it doesn't take a huge creator to make something like this, is kind of my point. Honestly, somewhere along the way, I am fully expecting that D&D Beyond kind of has to start from scratch and redo all its legacy code base in order to create a website that we can all kind of start using again. Because at this point, I don't use D&D Beyond anymore. I've kind of turned into an all-paper DM. I do all my prep work in Obsidian, and I've got the core rulebooks slightly off to my left when I'm running the game. And if something comes up, I reach for the core rulebooks and I look stuff up in there. And I don't really need to go looking up stuff on D&D Beyond because I've got the core rulebooks. And at that point, I feel like what I'm saying, D&D Beyond's utility value has now been outmatched by physical books. It is so bloated of stuff that I don't need that the physical books are stronger reference material. Let's say somebody gets blinded in my game and I look up blinded. I now have to parse this mess of trying to figure out where am I going to find the rules for blinded? Blinded, 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 or blinded. Which one of these is correct? And even worse, if I want to Google something, adding D&D Beyond to the end of it, I end up with this scenario where I don't know which one is the correct one. So even Google doesn't solve the search engine problem. I still kind of need to go into D&D Beyond. And only then will I know, okay, this one is the legacy one, this one isn't, and I can go click on that one. I really wish there was some kind of universal setting across the website where I could go and say, I don't want to see the old rules at all. I remember when they were talking about removing the old rules of the website, and the whole internet went up in a huff because a bunch of people rightfully pointed out that they bought these rules and they should be allowed to use them. To their credit, they listened to the feedback and they immediately allowed the rules to be used on the website. They realized that that was not a good decision to make, to just take it off. Wholehearted support of that. Fantastic. Good job. But I bought all the new rules. I'm a big fan of all the new rules. Why do I have to always, every session, be looking at legacy and not legacy side by side? Why can't I just go into account settings and click a button somewhere that says, I am not a legacy user. I want to see the new stuff. And furthermore, if somebody new comes onto the website, why isn't that ticked on by default? If a new player shows up, they're kind of stuck having to navigate the mess of 2 editions existing on the same site. Editing Daði here just to make sure that we summarize this so that there's a point at the end of the video. Right now, there's this huge resurgence of people joining the hobby for the first time. The D&D movie, the Baldur's Gate video game, these things have all added a whole bunch of new players to the game, and they're now going to be using the tools that are available to help themselves make characters in the easiest way possible. And D&D Beyond is that tool. And I think D&D owes it to new players to make sure that the tools that they're presenting are as easy to understand as possible, because that's what they're doing with the books. They're capitalizing certain letters, they're formatting it in such a way that new players have an easier time joining in. But right now, D&D Beyond isn't managing that same thing. Folks are coming in and there are 2 versions of everything. There's legacy and the filters, and then there's these betas, the encounter builder beta for 6 years. It can be incredibly disheartening if you're a new person coming in and this is what you're met with. Honestly, some website-wide filters are going to go a long way in making sure that the website gets the love it needs. But I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere along the way they're going to have to rebuild their code base and basically start from scratch, like we've seen loads of small indie creators show is entirely possible. Also because D&D's job at this point is kind of being most people's first entry into the hobby. D&D is synonymous with role-playing, so loads of people are going to be coming in to D&D first before they matriculate out into other games or Homebrew or whatever. And basically my complaint is that I wish I could use the website more. I like the website, I really like it, I just wish I could use it more. Right now it's slowly getting filled up with awesome third-party content, but it's content that a lot of the time I have to filter out, and I have to filter it out every time. And it's a little disheartening because I want the content to be there, I love it. I just want stronger filtering tools. Because the website's main appeal is that it's a reference. And if my hardcover books are a better reference than the website, then I naturally will stop using the website. I guess a part of this is that I hope that when WotC bought the website, we'd be seeing money go into it. An investment of some kind. Maybe that was naive of me, but I don't know that we're seeing that. And that's where we'll pick it up next time. This channel is run by me and my girlfriend, and if you want to support the channel directly, consider becoming members of our Patreon, where for this month you can get access to our firearm rules, which is perfect if you want to go play a cowboy or a musketeer. If you're feeling especially generous, like the video, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when we release new videos. Until next time, keep studying the mystic arts.